Hello, Kelly here with Kelly's Circuit Life, and this is class 8 in Lessons from Lenormand. So we are getting towards the end. We have the last 6 cards today that we're going to go over, and we'll also be doing a pretty simple reading at the end. It's called the Pyramid Spread. And then after that, the next classes will be uh, the next class, class 9, will be 2 more readings that you can do, spreads that you can do. Then we're going to do a class on just the grand tableau, which is using all the 36 cards. And then we'll talk about the Lenormand houses, and then we'll have a wrap-up class at the end. So we are at the last 6 cards that we're going to talk about today. So that you'll have an introduction to all 36 cards now. So if you're just tuning in, go back. There's a playlist that has all of the classes in it. And you can also find there's also a classroom tab that you can find all the classes there too. So all the information that you need is here, the PDF that has all of this information on it. You can find, I'll leave that linked also, but I'm going to share a presentation, and we're going to look at those last 6 cards and a way to use the cards in a reading. So let's get started. All right. And we are ready to present. So like I said, class 8. We're going to do the last 6 cards: Sun, Moon, Key, Fish, Anchor, and Cross. So it's number 31 Sun, number 32 Moon, number 33 Key, number 34 Fish, number 35 Anchor, number 36 Cross. So, and then we're going to do the pyramid spread. And this is taken from Rana George's book, the Essential Lenormand, and this is from the second edition that just came out. So this is just a little review of some of the different kinds of contexts that are in the book. And there are, hundreds of keywords that you can use for each of the cards. And there are, if you want to have more than what we go into in the class, then buy the book, and you can get all of these different keywords in these different contexts. So there are keywords in the book for future, for if it's a man or a woman, in work, in love, in health, body, and spirit, money, time or timing, advice or action, orientation, and positive, negative, or neutral, and then objects and areas. So there's lots of different ways that these cards can be interpreted, and there's lots of keywords there and within the book. And they're also in the book personal anecdotes that Rana George has written about each card, along with traditional meanings for the cards and traditional ways of practicing with the cards, and then combinations and examples. So there's ways of combining the cards together, because combining the Norman cards together is very important. And she gives examples, lots of examples, in all throughout the book with the cards. And then just remember, these are some important points that she puts in the book about time, and remembering that time, when you're asking a question, Lenormand is really good about timing. And we've talked about the different types of times, different ways that you can get times from the Lenormand cards throughout all while we're talking about the other cards. But also remember that sometimes we might make an assumption about a time, but it doesn't really mean literally time, but it's more malleable. And so, looking at that and being flexible in your reading is good. And all the cards have an orientation. They're either positive, negative, or neutral. But as you will see, and if we go back and if you haven't done the other classes, you'll see that the cards a lot of times will depend on the cards that are around them, the cards that come before, the cards that come after. If you're doing a box spread or if you're doing the grand tableau, then the cards that are, nearer or farther away have positive, negative, or neutral impacts on the cards. So, but it gives you, a good starting point. And then personal anecdotes you can gain over time. And her advice in the book is to, write your readings down, write your experiences down with the cards. Just like as you're going through this class, you're making hopefully your own notes and you're making your own associations about the cards and what they mean to you, so that as you learn to work with the cards or go deeper with the cards, then you'll gain that experience and that knowledge over time. And so there's also the nuance in the cards going deeper, and that's really getting to where you find what what a card means to you and how it relates in different places, how it relates if you're reading a certain card like the sun card that we're going to do today. If you did the reading in asking about a relationship, it's going to be very different than someone asking about their career. So that's the nuance in going deeper. And there are I go over this in every class because I think these are all important points. But in Lenormand, there are cards that do have specific, that either refer to a certain part of the body or have specific medical connotations and nuances and keywords that go with them. And as always, if you're not comfortable doing a medical reading, then please, don't do it. And you can always just, talk about what the traditional meanings are, or that, what that you've learned about that card, but you never have to do a medical reading if you don't, if you don't feel comfortable with it. And then, always if you feel like that it's the person or you needs medical attention or advice or help, then always refer them to a professional. And then, like I said, the book that I'm using is Raina George's book, The Essential Lenormand, and this is the second edition that just came out, and it's much thicker and it's got lots more to it in this book. And I'm not going to really do I think I've mentioned this, I'm not really going to do a specific, point by point exam of the book and comparison of the book, but I will, as we go through, talk about, different ways, different things that are in this book that maybe weren't in the other book. And so one of the things that has changed between this book, the first book, and this book is that Raina George has included her Murray system, which includes her personal cards. And she has 4 other cards that you can see right here. The 37 Spirit, 38 Incense Burner, 39 Bed, and 40 Market. So she has these 4 cards that she includes in her system, as well as an extra man and an extra woman. And that was in the last session in the class 7, where we did man and woman. And so if you're interested in that, you can go back to that class. But this is her expanded system of reading. So if she were doing a reading, she includes all 40 of the cards. But in the traditional Lenormand, there is the 36 cards that we're going over in this class. The book also has expanded reading techniques and spreads. It has, so far, I found a section on mediumship. There's also section on the history of Madame Lenormand, who the cards are named after, and kind of that putting Lenormand and the cards and their history in context, in a historical context. So these are some of the things I've seen already. And as we do these last few classes, if there's other things that I see, then I'll add those as well. All right. So let's get into the last six cards. So we're here and we are, and hopefully, again, this class is coming out a lot faster than the other classes. And so the last few classes, I think, will be, come out much faster too, because there'll be a lot more, a lot less in each class. But I wanted to make sure that in these classes that I gave enough I gave enough interest and attention to the individual cards, because that's what makes up the system, and they're very important. And I really like going over the cards. So as always, here on the left is Raina George's, the card from Raina George's deck. And this is, we're on 31, the Sun. And over here, I'm working with the Wicked Tales, Lenormand by Monica Bodursky. And so I wanted, when I first started this class several months ago, I knew that I wanted to use Raina George's book and her deck, and I also wanted to use a different deck to show you the difference between two decks, to see, just to, because I thought it was interesting. And at the time, I was going to use the Sweet Blossom Lenormand, which I still have used it, but then at the time, this Lenormand came out and I got it, and I thought it was, that time of year. I think it was October-ish. And so I thought, this will be fun, not realizing that it would be spring and before the last classes came out. But I still wanted a deck that showed a difference, showed a different take on Lenormand, but still that core traditional meanings and the core kind of 36 cards. And the Wicked Tales Lenormand does have additional cards as well. And if you're interested in the deck, you can find it and read and work with those cards. But I'm not bringing them in because we're just focusing on the 36 traditional cards. And I also liked this book. I really liked the guidebook because it has for each card, it has the image with the image with some keywords, and then it has about the image, and then it has a story behind the card. So she has a lot of haunted stories and something that kind of story that goes with the illustration. And then there's the message, there's a shadow message, and reflections and journal prompts, which I really, really liked. And you see here, I have the reflection question here. So each one, I picked one of and she also has combinations with, and just in a shorter version. But I really liked this. I really liked those reflection questions. And so we'll get to those as we talk about the cards. So over here on the left, Raina George's Lenormand. Over here on the right, the Wicked Tales Lenormand, and we'll talk about both of these as we go along. So here, number 31, the Sun. And you know that there are a few cards in Lenormand that have the same title as cards in tarot, and they're not at all the same. They're very different in the keywords and the way that they work. But the Sun here, the Sun card in Lenormand and the Sun card in tarot, both do mean happiness, and so I think there is a little bit of crossover, and it's the more kind of the heat and the more kind of masculine as in tarot, and the moon is more feminine in the here in Lenormand, we'll get to the moon next, and the star is the same. You know, there's a star tarot, there's a star in Lenormand, and so there are cards that are the same, and you do kind of have to disconnect yourself from the tarot meetings so that you don't, because the sun card in Lenormand is different, and there may be some keywords that overlap or some kind of themes that overlap, but they are different and they work in different ways. So but you can, and I still like to make connections between them, because I think the more that you make connections between cards and readings and your intuition, it just makes your intuition just deeper and makes readings more deeper, and you're using you're more uh, using that divination power that you have. So, sun in Lenormand is the source of life, a new beginning, can be heat, any kind of things that is heat. Heat when it's hot outside, heat from going inside and turning the heat on, heat being like in the Wicked Tales card, being heat in a desert, like an atmosphere. It can be feeling the heat metaphorically. A lot of people say I have feeling a lot of heat from this situation, and so it can be any of those things. It can be glory and success, courage. It can dispel the darkness, and especially when you have it with other cards, it can dispel darkness. It is power, that power that kind of comes from our solar plexus chakra. So this is a good one to work on with your solar plexus. And happiness. It means yes. So if you're asking a question, then the answer is yes. It can be in the summer or it can be in the morning. Definitely a positive card, and it can be the 31st of a month. And so you see the Wicked Tales Lenormand card over here is the sun, in the desert. And it's the sun in the desert, but this environment, even though the sun is, kind of beating down on this, in the desert, it's still the cactus, there's thriving because it thrives in the right environment. And this is one of the messages here, thriving in the right environment, and, making sure that the way that you find happiness is going to be different from another person, and finding seeing happiness or finding courage or the source of life is going to be different, and it's going to if the and where that is going to depend on, are you in the right environment? And so the sun is going to dispel the darkness around that. So the reflection question here is, how do you stay positive during difficult times? Because the sun card is positive, and it is, you might be trying to find that positivity, and the sun, you might want to use the sun as your kind of your significator card if you're looking for to find positivity and happiness. All right. So the next card is Moon. So we have Moon, and again, it's Moon in tarot. The Moon card is different. They share, some, of course, themes, because it's Moon, the Moon. But here in Lenormand, and you say here's the moon over here in Raymond George's deck, and the moon over here in the Wicked Tales Lenormand, and here moon means imagination, intuition, dreams. The womb is something that is growing. It can be, physically the womb of a woman, or it can be the womb of something that is growing, something that needs protection. It's feminine. It can be cycles, any kind of cycles, and a woman's menstrual cycles, the cycles of the the cycles of the moon, the cycles of the seasons, cycles that you're going through, maybe cycles of the year or a school year, or cycles maybe that you experience in your job or your work, or just any kind of cycles. Can be perception, and how perception can change or not change. And that's a good one that's really influenced about with the cards around it. And it can be popularity, and popularity in that your um, kind of like your reputation and how you are, and not like a pop, or it could be, it can be a popularity contest. Maybe there's some, it comes up and it can be something that someone's trying to win a popularity contest. But it can also be your reputation, how people see you. And so it can mean a clandestine romantic rendezvous under the moonlight. So maybe this comes up and it's telling you that you maybe need to do that, to take some time and have a rendezvous under the moonlight. It is a slow card, it's a positive card, and it can also mean evening. And so here we have the werewolf under the moon. And the werewolf, is known for changing, shape-shifting. And this shape-shifting can also, and the story that is in the guidebook is about ancient civilization that often use shape-shifting, or different kinds of skins or hides to show accomplishment. And so this is showing accomplishment, showing something that you've had success at, and something that you've imagined because you've been able to imagine it into being. And so your reflection question here is, how much do you feel your job or work reflects your identity? So that notion of your reputation, or what you do, or the dreams that you have, is that is that reflected in the job or the work that you do? All right. Now we're on 33, which is key. And key means to lock or unlock, just like a key. It can mean freedom or liberty. It can uncover what is hidden. It can be a talisman. So if you're looking for something magical, a magical talisman to work with, the key can be that symbol for you. It can be a significant encounter, can be karmic lessons, things that we learn from unlocking what is hidden. And so those karmic lessons for us can be spiritual breakthroughs, and exploring mysterious realms, and that the key to that. So it's very much, and I like this card because it's very much, can be very very literal, in that it is a key that actually unlocks something. So what is it that we need to unlock? And it can be literal in a reading too. Maybe you need to unlock something to, actually unlock the door to something. Maybe it's time to buy a new house, and you're going to unlock the door to a new house. Or maybe you're unlocking, you're unlocking the path to, taking a class or going back to school, and you're unlocking that knowledge. And so it can be very literal, and it can be very metaphorical too, and looking at how something is unlocked, because it is, when you have it as the key and you have another card beside it, it is the key to what? Is it the key to um, if it's the key to, like I said, maybe the key to a house. So if you have the house card next to it, the key to a new house. And so it was telling you that it's a good time to do that. It could be the key to clouds. If you had clouds next to it, it would be the key to getting rid of the clouds because you're uncovering what is hidden by the clouds. It could be the key to birds. You could have key and birds together. So the key to really good communication. So it's the key to, and that's how I really like it because it can just be very helpful in a lot of ways. And it's a card that is in the now, very in the present. It's positive and it acts very quickly. Then here in the Wicked Tales Lenormand, we have the skeleton key that can be opening to the spirits through the veil. Looking that goes back to spiritual breakthroughs here because we're looking through the veil. We're looking through the karmic lessons that we've gotten, through the things that we've learned about ourselves and about being, being an intuitive person, being about mystery and what is hidden underneath it. And being open to that, being open to listening and being open to unlocking something. And that might be something when, the key comes up and it might be hidden or it might be behind the mountain. And it might be telling you that you're just not going to know, that you might not get the answer. So here, reflection, where do you turn most frequently for answers to your questions? And so could be to Lenormand and using that key card. All right. And then next we have number 34, which is fish. And over here, you see Raina George's fish jumping out of the water in the ocean. And so fish here in Lenormand means abundance. Places near water or are water, like the ocean, the rivers, ponds, and lakes, anything that is water and the places that are near it. And this is the card for self-employment. So if you own your own business, this is a really good card to use and to work with. It can also stand for business transactions, trade and exchange, any kind of trade and exchange that you might be doing. It's the card of plenty. It can also stand for virility and fertilization. So if someone's come to you or you want a reading about something literally, fertilization, pregnancy, or it could be more like something that needs to be fertilized, something that needs something else for it to grow. It can also mean emotions. And this is the card that you want to work with when you want positive change, when you want something to move from one place to another. So the timing can be sunrise or sunset, or it can be in just the flow of time, and it is a positive card. And here I thought this was very clever with fish. Here with the Wicked Tales, Lenormand, we have these skeletons of piranha fish that like to eat things very quickly. And here when you're in self-employment or when you're in business transactions or in trade and exchange, you want to know your competition so that you avoid getting shredded. And I thought that was a really good message. And the reflection question here, what does financial wealth mean to you? All right, moving on to number 35, and this is Anchor. And this card, and because a lot of cards and a lot of divination systems that we work with were invented or became popular at certain times, there was lots of different, very different contexts with Anchor And the next card, especially this anchor and other cards too, but I think anchor and the next card, cross, because it was at a time when travel by boat was very different than it is now, and anchors were very, very important. And so this was something that would, and so the keywords that we have for anchor are stability and security, stillness, safety, because you would be, anchored in a safe harbor, loyalty, endurance, arriving at goals, because we'll talk about, dropping anchor somewhere, when you've gotten to where you wanted to go, reliability, and I love this, ball and chain. And so that can be a good thing, and it can be a not good thing. And you can see how this card can, even though it's a positive card, it can have those connotations of something holding you back. It's something that's keeping you still, that maybe, you just really don't want to give up. Okay, so this one is the message, you are my anchor. And so this, you can see if this comes up, you can, and especially when you're doing a bigger reading and the anchor comes up with, especially if you're doing a reading about yourself or about another person, and that person is in, you have that person in the reading, where is the anchor? Is the anchor underneath where it's supportive? Is the anchor above where it is maybe a ball and chain? Is it behind and the person, feels unanchored? Is it in front where the person, feels anchored and feels, in a safe place? And so looking at that and looking where that comes is very helpful. And it is a positive card, and it is slow, and it can show, a long, very long time. And so it's something that's going to be lasting, or something that you want to build that's lasting. And this will come up, this personally, this one comes up for me a lot when I do readings, because I feel like that my husband is my anchor. And so instead of, I think this probably comes up more than the man or the gentleman card for him, because that's what it represents to me, because I feel like that in readings. And so that's is that nuance there, and working with cards and seeing, what they mean to you. All right. So over here we have the anchor in the Wicked Tales, Lenormand. We have an anchor here, and you see instead of the beach and the rocks that's behind it here, we have the anchor in the water with a shark coming at it. So we have the anchor with the shark coming in behind it, and this here is the anchor, in order to work, has to be dropped. It has to go under the surface. So this is not fearing what is under the surface. And if there's something, coming at you, how can you use that anchor, the safety and stillness? And, maybe it's telling you that, there's the loyalty is there a question about it? So looking at that and seeing how the anchor works for you. And you can use this reflection question, what is security to you? All right, we are on the last card. Yay, number 36. We're here. And like I said, with the anchor, this one I think comes a lot from the time that it was made popular, the time that it was invented, the time that it came into being. And because the cross here does, and you can see both of these crosses look very Christianized. And so if that is something that appeals to you, then it is, you can use it in that way. And if it's something that doesn't, and I think over time it's become more of, and you will see why, because over time the cross has come to mean suffering and challenges, sacrifice. It can mean regret or remorse. It can be hardships or pain. or anxiety. I mean, this is like the Nine of Swords in tarot, that card of anxiety, where something is, or just something that you just feel very nervous about. And it can also be stand for an organized religion. And so this is, this is just that meaning of suffering, suffering on a cross, the story of Jesus's sacrifice and his death, his crucifixion and resurrection. And so it can have all of those connotations in it. And so it's come to mean that. It's come to mean these things. And so here I like to think of this as the cross is like the ninth house with the Hierophant, with organized religion. So if it comes up for you in a religious context, then you can think about it more like the Hierophant, where it's something that is organized religion, that's tradition being handed down. Whereas with the book is more like the 12th house. And the ninth house is all about as organized religion and learning and things within a traditional system, within an educational system. And the 12th house is more about spirituality, open kind of open spirituality, open feelings. So the book is more like the 12th house and the high priestess, with just more listening to yourself and going in. And, again, both of them, even though they're very different, they're both useful, very useful in readings. So this is a negative card. Adds weight to any card or reading and is slow. And here on this side, with the cross and the raven and the wicked tails Lenormand, we have this is using that as, because Lenormand is very much about symbols and how symbols become intertwined with dogma and intertwined with things that people just believe just for the sake of belief and not really questioning it. So the reflection question here is, do you allow your guilt to rule over your better judgment? So are there things that you know that you should do, but you feel like that you need to make a sacrifice, or it's painful and you want to that that you're giving up your better judgment? All right, that's it. The last card. Yay! Right, and again, if you've missed any of the classes and you want to go back, they're all in the playlist and you can find all the rest of the classes. But to finish up, we're going to finish up with a pretty simple pyramid spread. And this comes again from Rana George's book, The Essential Lenormand. You can find it in there. And this is a very quick and easy spread. It's easily adaptable and flexible and can be suited to your needs or your questions. And you see the cards here are laid out. There's 9 cards. So the first 3 go here, the second 3 go here, and the third 3 go here. And the reason that I really like this spread, and I think I wanted to share it, is because you can divide it up. You can do the night, kind of the box spread is more, and we did the box spread in class 5. So if you want to go back and you're interested in that one, it's a great spread. But this one is a little bit more, it's more, it's more specific in the beginning. So you have a question and you think about the topics that you want to have answered, and then you pull 3 cards for that first topic, and then for the second topic, and then the third topic. Now you could use the same question and have, the past, present, or future, or something like that. But the way that it was designed in the book is to have kind of a general question and then apply it to 3 different areas. And you'll see that. I'll show you the sample that I did. So this was me. Now this deck that I used is another deck that I have, and I wanted to use this one because it's a little bit easier to see the symbols and the words on here for for you looking at this on the screen. So this, I use the pyramid spread, and this is called the Sparkly Lenormand, and it's down at the bottom, the Sparkly Lenormand by Stephanie Cowan and Kimberly Sand. So if you really like this one and you like this kind of more hand-drawn look to it, and it, it's very, it's childlike, and it's I think a good, it's a good one, if you like this style. So I took the question, what can I expect during the upcoming new moon cycle? So the day that I'm recording this, the new moon cycle is coming up pretty quickly. So I wanted to know what I should look for, what should I expect, or what should I focus on? And I said the first one, the top one, is in my career. And the second one down here with my family. And this one down here, these three on the right, with my health. So, doing this reading in my career, what can I expect? The mice, snake, and coffin. So that here is telling me that there's going to be lots of little things that I'm going to have to deal with, or that are going to take my attention, and that if I don't take care of those little things and I don't pay attention to those things, then they're just going to start getting worse and start snaking in to what I want to get done as far as accomplish for in looking at my career goals and in my work and job life. And it's going to not turn out well because I've got the coffin at the end. So here, this to me is a warning to me that there's going to be things that I'm going to have to deal with, and to go ahead, make that list of little annoying things that I need to get rid of, or things that don't take a lot of time. But if I let them go on too long, then they're going to just start spreading out, and then it's going to take all my time, and it's not going to be a very happy ending. So I'll know to do that. I'm going to make a note, and and I think one of the things that I like to do is separate my to-do list into long items and short items. So I know that these short items, this coming up cycle, that I really need to focus on those short things and to getting those things done, so that I have time to work on these longer things, these snake things that are going to take a longer time, so that I don't feel, so that I can, transform these things, because coffin, is transformation as well. So transfer them into where I want to be at the end of that moon cycle, where I want to be in my career at that time. All right, so then we have the next three cards down here on the left. And so with my family, you see anchor card. With my family, this is my husband. And then we have clover in the middle with woman on the end. So here again, and I shuffled the deck and drew these cards just like that. I wrote my question down, did the three topics, and drew the cards. And I got anchor, clover, and woman with my family. So anchor, and that's going to be very important. Those things in our relationship is going to be very important during this moon cycle. And we're going to have some luck, something, take advantage of those little things, take advantage of the time that we have together, take advantage of the maybe because it's spring and it's the new moon, maybe go outside, do some things that are outside, because the clover, we're going to find our lucky clover outside. And so that you can see, Lenormand is, can be very intuitive, and it can be just, it just lays it out there for you. It tells you like it is. And that's why I really enjoy working with Lenormand. And when you have questions like this, and I try to do a 9-card spread usually I do it every Wednesday, just because I like just having that, having something that, and usually there's something I'm, trying to figure out, and, I want an answer to it, and Lenormand gives it to me. All right, so then in this upcoming new moon cycle with my health, so I have heart, and tower and scythe. So, this, and because I know that it's me and it's this question, I know that heart is something that, I need to take care of my heart. And maybe this is emotionally and physically. And I'm in that, in that time of my life where a lot of things start, coming up. A lot of things, I'm in this, later half of life with a tower, things have grown and I've grown. And now there's things that have, are not, don't work the same way, are work in, a different way. And so in order to keep my heart healthy, in, literally and physically, or literally and metaphorically, to keep my heart happy, I need to do practices that are going to make me feel good and to look long term. And there might be things that I need to cut out, or I need to do, to do differently, but probably to cut out, and there's probably something, looking at this, and so thinking, and thinking ahead and thinking, what are things that I maybe have been doing that, aren't really good for my heart, or good for longevity, or to build something, to make, because I like to think, as the way that I like to work with my heart and my body is thinking of my body as, the temple that I use, and that, and if I don't treat my body well and treat it like a temple, or treat it like something that is revered, like a tower, and has, long term, has this long term, or treat it like it is, or I need to listen to advice. Maybe I need to listen to advice and, cut out something that I've been doing in the past that is just not working for me. Or, listen, go back maybe to, to my journal, or things that I've done in the past that, that have thought that, have worked well for me, but just need to change. So those are things. And, I definitely, just let you know, when I did this, I write all this down so that I can look back on this and look back at the card. I have a picture of it, of course, because I have the picture here. So I know what this is. And so when something comes up, I can, when that new moon cycle starts, I can look at this reading and have some ideas about what will happen, what might happen, or what I need to, changes I need to make, or things that I need to do. And, just little things that I can make this moon cycle the best that I can make it. And if there's things that, that need, that could turn out, badly, that's why this is here. It's not, a dire warning that, something that, my career is going to die, but that this is that I do, but it could, but if I don't do these things, and it's giving me that kind of presence to go into this cycle with this knowledge. And I think that is what I like about Lenormand, is it gives you the knowledge to go into something, to answer a question. And then if it's not what you want, then how can you make that change? And are there things that you're doing and to make that change? So that is the reading. That's the pyramid spread. And so now we are at the end of class 8. We finished all the cards, yay! And so for class 9, again, I'm hoping and thinking this will come out a little faster, because we're getting to the end, and have and the spreads are going to be pretty quick. And I might, if it I might combine a few of the classes together. I might do this one with Lenormand houses or something, and combine them together a little bit because I do want to have one whole class on the grand tableau, and that's going to, be a class. So this for the next one is if you have the book, the new edition, this is the cross spread, which is on pages 401 to 403, and changing a fortune, page 404 to 407. So those are the next ones that we're going to do. And I thank you for being here. I know these are long classes, and I really, really, really appreciate you sticking with it. And if, again, all the rest of the classes, if you're just finding this now, there's a playlist and a classroom on YouTube, and you can find that. And there's also, all the other videos that I am making as well with crystals and herbs and books and decks, and you can find all of those as well. And I appreciate you being here, and let me know how it's going with Lenormand. Are you using it? Are you having fun with these cards? What is your experience with it? I would love to know. All right, thank you again, and I will see you again in the next class. Bye.